Okay, so the 3.0 dev talk just released and I like what I heard, so let's talk about it. The first big news is that 3.0 is not going to be a major story patch, and that might be a good thing. So 3.0 is going to introduce us to the city of Roscolifer, and we're going to spend time with the new characters. 3.1 will be the first major climactic chapter. I believe that this is a good change. Let me explain. Pacing of a story is one of the most important parts. Too slow and the audience gets bored. Too fast and the audience isn't properly invested because they didn't have time to care. One of the big problems with 2.0 was that they wanted to showcase the city while at the same time continuing the main story. This created the problem where 2.0 was overstuffed and it bogged down the overall pacing of that chapter. We spent a lot of time touring the city with Jufufu, and we had a side quest to start the Suibin temple missions, which grinded the story to a halt. That was the first time I didn't finish a chapter because I was just too tired from how slow the pacing was. By getting us settled into the city first and spending time with the new characters before we get into the main story, that is going to help with that pacing problem in Season 2. This is potentially a very good change. The devs also hinted at more proxy powers. The etheric other Pyrois is the legacy of Helios Academy, and it acts as an agent that fights for the Proxy. Which begs the question, what were they researching? Because I'm convinced that Bell and Wise might actually be super soldiers. Their eyes can now summon a stand. I just realized that this is just Susanoo from Naruto. They really do have Sharingan powers. Now, if you're the person that wanted the Proxy to be the guy in the chair like in Season 1, then this is honestly bad news for you. Personally, I'm okay with it because the way the direction of the story was going, the Proxies going into the halls personally was never going to change. If this ability makes them more competent and not have to rely on getting saved by the newest agent, then I'm okay with it. I'm also aware that there's a non-zero chance that it doesn't change anything. As long as they aren't idiots that need to be babysat, I will be okay with this new power. What I do like is that Helios Academy is going to get more lore. Helios Academy is one of the more interesting plot hooks because it is tied to our protagonists, which means it's easy to get people invested into the story. I stand by the belief that Bell and Wise are good protagonists when Hoyoverse actually gives them something interesting to do and not just be a self-insert. They already have their own voice, just let them be themselves. We also get more information about Roscolifer. Now, if you like bangboo, then this is good news because this will be the best city ever. Roscolifer is a utopia where people in bangboo live in harmony, which is interesting to say because it implies that New Eridu isn't great for bangboo. To be honest, that kind of makes sense because unlike other intelligent constructs like Billy or Qingyi, bangboo are not considered citizens because they don't pass the forbidden fruit test. Having a group of robots that is almost entirely made of the working class and not have them be considered citizens is generally not great, and it might be a little bit problematic. This does give us two options. It means that bangboo and Roscolifer are just more intelligent and they can pass the forbidden fruit test, which does make sense because Lady Sunbringer is there. She's the one that possibly gave Bonwei sentience, so the bangboo could be smarter. The other option is the forbidden fruit test is just some political bullshit and they live complete lives without this classification. We also get a look at some of the concept art, and dear god, why did they give the bangboo long legs? I hate it. I also like the bangboo charging stations because you can see the difference in culture. In New Eridu, bangboo have these little holes, but in Roscolifer, they have what looks like a shoe shine box. This idea of a bangboo community is interesting to think about because it's something that I want to see more in Zenless Zone Zero. Think about all the different types of communities that we could see in New Eridu. We could see intelligent construct communities, Onis, more Thyrans. We could even visit Lucia's tribe. My point is that it would just expand the world building even more and make Zenless Zone Zero stand out. The devs also wanted to make sure that Roscolifer felt fresh but also familiar. They also wanted to give it a home in the sky kind of feeling, which means it looks like we're going to get these kind of hover cars and hover bikes. Because it's a flying city, it honestly kind of reminds me of BioShock Infinite, which is really cool. Roscolifer is definitely leaning more towards the futuristic aesthetic for Zenless' world, but for those that are worried, you shouldn't be because they are going to have some retro tech too, like with these buses and cars. As excited as I am for this new region, there is one major flaw in my opinion. You may have also noticed it as well, but unfortunately, we're going to England. Instead of Coffee Master, we have Cuppa Master. Oh yeah, we also got some lore about bangboo toilets, and we also got some lore about those bangboo toilet statues in New Eridu. It's possible that it was inspired by those bangboo charging stations from earlier. I don't know how to react to that. It's just a lore fact I didn't need to know, but I guess I know it now. I will say that I do like the Zenless team's attention to detail when it comes to their city designs. There are small parts that may not be completely necessary, but they do add more character to the area. The team also wanted to make a point that they're dedicated to making sure that there are small connections so that the world feels connected overall. 3.0 is also planning on introducing a new exploration system called Bangboo terminals. I want to know how this will work because exploration is one of Zenless's biggest weaknesses. It's no surprise that ever since Zenless moved away from TV mode, they've struggled to fill that void. The exploration that they introduced in 2.0 really wasn't that interesting. Most of the time you just went from area to area clearing ethereals to get a chest, so there really wasn't that much variety and it ended up being monotonous. There were some improvements, like they included lore drops, but the exploration still didn't hit. So it will be interesting to see how they improved it. They're also introducing a mechanic called singularity leakage, which transforms the area to behave more like a hollow. Just like miasma, there's a force that causes this phenomenon to happen. I hope it's better than miasma because miasma was a miss for me. It just wasn't used that well. Even though we could see the impact of miasma, it never really felt that dangerous. It also really wasn't explained all that well. It's not really explained why it only exists in Lemian Hollow, it just does. Which could work, but again, it just wasn't that interesting. Let me know if this is a hot take, you can disagree with me, it's fine. Now what is interesting is that the devs want to show the Proxy's hacking abilities more. Good, because this was one of my biggest issues with Season 2. Compared to Season 1, Season 2 didn't feel like it had that much hacking. One of my favorite scenes in Season 1 was that moment in the interlude quest where we helped Jiwan and Qingyi escape the Hollow. Recently in the epilogue, they did take control and navigate for everybody in the tournament, and I hope that this is more of the norm if the epilogue is something to go off of. I don't need them to stay in a chair, I just need them to act smart again. But the most important news is that Eous is back, baby. Eous is not benched. He is going to help the siblings explore the area, which I love. And he has a new jetpack too, which is just sick as hell. Come on, look at my boy. Eous is important to the Proxy and is a unique part of Zenless's identity. As long as he gets to do stuff, I'm fine. I love Eous. There's also going to be a lot more stories involving bangboo, which is really good. Bangboo have been here since the original Void Hunters, which means it's easy to introduce lore from that era. They have to have a memory bank or something. Whenever we learn more about the history of Eridu, I am locked in. There's also going to be more movement options as we explore, which I'm excited to see what that means. If you made it this far, let me know how you feel going into 3.0. I want to hear what you think. Okay, look, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm more of a lore and story guy. I am not knowledgeable about the actual combat of the game. There are so many other good channels that you can find to break down this section because this is not my forte and I'm not even going to try and pretend to know what I'm talking about. It sounds like they're trying to improve the combat and make it more skill based, which is cool, but again, I'm not going to pretend like I know what's going on. What I do have an opinion on are the events. The Hot Pot event was a success and they're going to give more events that give that urban slice of life feeling, which is exactly what I want from Zenless. There's also going to be optimizations for the camera event, which is one of the best events in my opinion because the community goes crazy with those shots. Also, the anniversary will be in 3.1, which is an interesting change that they really didn't mention. The bar is so low for anniversaries, and to be honest, if there's anything that celebrates the community or the game, that's enough for me. There's also going to be a polychrome guide that helps you track resources, which sounds pretty helpful. So how do I feel about Season 3? I am hoping and praying that they figure some things out and that the story is going to get better. I have been very vocal about not liking Season 2, but to be fair, the epilogue has been pretty good. So that might be a good sign. Thank you everybody for watching. If you like my videos, go check out my other stuff. I'll see you guys next time. It might be a week, it might be a year.